Well, it's 22:59, 60 seconds or so away from the last 5. That just leaves Alaska, by the way, which isn't due in until 6 in the morning, British time. But we've got California, Hawaii, Idaho, Oregon, and Washington coming. And Washington and Oregon are safe Democrat places. California is safe Democrat, and they're waiting for this key moment in Chicago because they know this will be the moment that officially brings Barack Obama over the 270 when we get those projections in. They've known that victory lies ahead for some hours now, but it's not done until it's done. And you don't get 270 until you get 270. So here we stand with 30 seconds or so to go before a momentous moment, which, if all turns out the way everybody expects, will bring Barack Obama to the presidency. And what a long battle it's been for him. They wait there watching to hear victory for a man who's been from extreme poverty in childhood and hardship, who lived in Hawaii, who went to Indonesia, who came to Chicago, brought up by his family, went to Harvard, all the time improving and developing what he was doing. And now we come to the hour. Here we are, 11 o'clock. And California. Obama projected to win California with 55 electoral votes. And the next one, Washington, he's on 262. Washington is projected for Obama with 11 electoral votes.
That's it.
And that's it. 273 electoral votes for Barack Obama. He will be the next president of the United States. And everyone in Chicago there, and Democratic supporters, no doubt all over the country, applauding this moment. The first black man to go to the White House, the 44th president of the United States, will be Barack Obama. Well, that is a sensational outcome to this election, which will now be being heard, celebrated, and considered all around the world, not because he is a Democrat, but because he is the first African American to take the leadership of the most powerful nation in the world. The impact of that right across the world we have to see, but there's no doubt that for most people outside the United States, as well as those inside, it will seem a very remarkable event. People will wait to see what the impact is on American foreign policy, but the very fact that this country, which only 40 years ago was striven with racism in the South, where black people couldn't even get the vote, the fact now that Barack Obama goes to the presidency is a quite astonishing achievement. It was Robert Kennedy who said 40 years ago, presciently I think, that he thought that in 40 years' time it could be that a Negro, those were his words, a Negro could become president. And exactly 40 years later it's been proved true. So, huge celebrations here. Democrat Party going on. It's very interesting. Everybody's known this was going to happen for 2 hours, and yet, like us, they wait till the actual moment to be certain. You can't celebrate the thing before it's there.
There's also, as I think one television host said today, you don't want to kill Hamlet in the first act. I mean, you have to keep people watching.
Quickly, David, it seems almost...
Isn't that McCain up there right now?
That's it, he's about to start speaking.
So, yeah.
By the way, Obama's also taken Florida and Colorado.
John McCain comes to the platform in Phoenix, Arizona, so let's hear from him with Sarah Palin to his right.
Here on this beautiful Arizona evening. My friends, we have come to the end of a long journey. The American people have spoken, and they have spoken clearly. A little while ago, I had the honor of calling Senator Barack Obama to congratulate him. Please. to congratulate him on being elected the next president of the country that we both love. In a contest as long and difficult as this campaign has been, his success alone commands my respect for his ability and perseverance. But that he managed to do so by inspiring the hopes of so many millions of Americans who had once wrongly believed that they had little at stake or little influence in the election of an American president is something I deeply admire and commend him for achieving. This is an historic election, and I recognize the special significance it has for African Americans and for the special pride that must be theirs tonight. I've always believed that America offers opportunities to all who have the industry and will to seize it. Senator Obama believes that too. But we both recognize that though we have come a long way from the old injustices that once stained our nation's reputation and denied some Americans the full blessings of American citizenship, the memory of them still had the power to wound. A century ago, President Theodore Roosevelt's invitation of Booker T. Washington to dine at the White House was taken as an outrage in many quarters. America today is a world away from the cruel and prideful bigotry of that time. There is no better evidence of this than the election of an African American to the presidency of the United States. Let there be no reason now. Let there be no reason now for any American to fail to cherish their citizenship in this, the greatest nation on earth. Senator Obama has achieved a great thing for himself and for his country. I applaud him for it and offer him my sincere sympathy that his beloved grandmother did not live to see this day. Though our faith assures us she is at rest in the presence of her Creator, and so very proud of the good man she helped raise. Senator Obama and I have had and argued our differences, and he has prevailed. No doubt many of those differences remain. These are difficult times for our country, and I pledge to him tonight to do all in my power to help him lead us through the many challenges we face. I urge all Americans who supported me to join me in not just congratulating him, but offering our next president our goodwill and earnest effort to find ways to come together, to find the necessary compromises, to bridge our differences, and help restore our prosperity, defend our security in a dangerous world, and leave our children and grandchildren a stronger, better country than we inherited. Whatever our differences, we are fellow Americans, and please believe me when I say no association has ever meant more to me than that. It is natural. It's natural tonight to feel some disappointment. But tomorrow, we must move beyond it and work together to get our country moving again. We fought as hard as we could. And though we fell short, the failure is mine, not yours. I am so deeply grateful to all of you for the great honor of your support and for all you have done for me. I wish the outcome had been different, my friends. The road was a difficult one from the outset, but your support and friendship never wavered. I cannot adequately express how deeply indebted I am to you. I'm especially grateful to my wife, Cindy, my children, my dear mother, and all my family, and to the many old and dear friends who have stood by my side through the many ups and downs of this long campaign. I have always been a fortunate man, and never more so, for the love and encouragement you have given me. You know, campaigns are often harder on a candidate's family than on the candidate, and that's been true in this campaign. All I can offer in compensation is my love and gratitude and the promise of more peaceful years ahead. I am also, of course, very thankful to Governor Sarah Palin, one of the best campaigners I've ever seen. One of the best campaigners I have ever seen, and an impressive new voice in our party for reform and the principles that have always been our greatest strength. Her husband, Todd, and their 5 beautiful children for their tireless dedication to our cause and the courage and grace they showed in the rough and tumble of a presidential campaign. We can all look forward with great interest to her future service to Alaska, the Republican Party, and our country. To all my campaign comrades, from Rick Davis and Steve Schmidt and Mark Salter, to every last volunteer who fought so hard and valiantly, month after month, in what at times seemed to be the most challenged campaign in modern times. Thank you so much. A lost election will never mean more to me than the privilege of your faith and friendship. I don't know what more we could have done to try to win this election. I'll leave that to others to determine. Every candidate makes mistakes, and I'm sure I made my share of them. But I won't spend a moment of the future regretting what might have been. This campaign was and will remain the great honor of my life. And my heart is filled with nothing but gratitude for the experience, and to the American people for giving me a fair hearing before deciding that Senator Obama and my old friend Senator Joe Biden should have the honor of leading us for the next 4 years. Please, please. I would not be an American worthy of the name should I regret a fate that has allowed me the extraordinary privilege of serving this country for a half a century. Today, I was a candidate for the highest office in the country I love so much. And tonight, I remain her servant. That is blessing enough for anyone, and I thank the people of Arizona for it. Tonight, more than any night, I hold in my heart nothing but love for this country and for all its citizens. Whether they supported me or Senator Obama, I wish Godspeed to the man who was my former opponent and will be my president. And I call on all Americans, as I have often in this campaign, to not despair of our present difficulties, but to believe always in the promise and greatness of America, because nothing is inevitable here. Americans never quit. We never surrender. We never hide from history. We make history. Thank you, and God bless you, and God bless America. Thank you all very much.
John McCain speaking in Phoenix, Arizona, a very handsomely generous speech about Barack Obama's success. He began by praising Obama's perseverance and by the fact that Obama had been able to inspire hope among those who didn't feel they had hope. He said, "I deeply admire and commend the work he's done for people for whom his victory, that's Obama's victory, had a special pride and significance." He wished him goodwill, he wished America to come together, and he said to the crowd there, and they booed when he said it because they don't believe it, or didn't wish him to believe it was true, "The failure is mine, not yours." And there were shouts then of, "We want John, we want John." And he ended wishing Godspeed to Obama. It was one of the most generous and handsome concession speeches I think any man who's beaten an opponent could wish to hear.
Majority of bloggers on the right recognize the history of this.
The president-elect now appearing, President-elect Barack Obama appearing with his family in Chicago.
It is breathtaking when they first come out and you realize they're going to be in our lives forever.
His wife Michelle, Malia Ann, Natasha, his 2 girl children. Savoring this moment of victory. And you're looking at the new first family of the United States. Barack Obama, just 47 years old, who will become the 44th president on the 20th of January next year. There's a whole transition period to go first. His 2 daughters who appeared with him at the convention, who seem very self-possessed about the limelight into which they've been thrust by their father's success. So they leave the stage to him. And now, for the first time, the president-elect will talk not just to this huge crowd in Chicago, but to people watching this all around the world.
If there is anyone out there who still doubts that America is a place where all things are possible, who still wonders if the dream of our founders is alive in our time, who still questions the power of our democracy, tonight is your answer. It's the answer told by lines that stretched around schools and churches in numbers this nation has never seen, by people who waited 3 hours and 4 hours, many for the first time in their lives, because they believed that this time must be different, that their voices could be that difference. It's the answer spoken by young and old, rich and poor, Democrat and Republican, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, Native American, gay, straight, disabled and not disabled, Americans who sent a message to the world that we have never been just a collection of individuals or a collection of red states and blue states. We are and always will be the United States of America. It's the answer that led those who've been told for so long by so many to be cynical and fearful and doubtful about what we can achieve, to put their hands on the arc of history and bend it once more toward the hope of a better day. It's been a long time coming, but tonight, because of what we did on this day, in this election, at this defining moment, change has come to America. A little bit earlier this evening, I received an extraordinarily gracious call from Senator McCain. Senator McCain fought long and hard in this campaign, and he's fought even longer and harder for the country that he loves. He has endured sacrifices for America that most of us cannot begin to imagine. We are better off for the service rendered by this brave and selfless leader. I congratulate him. I congratulate Governor Palin for all that they've achieved, and I look forward to working with them to renew this nation's promise in the months ahead. I want to thank my partner in this journey, a man who campaigned from his heart and spoke for the men and women he grew up with on the streets of Scranton and rode with on the train home to Delaware, the Vice President-elect of the United States, Joe Biden. And I would not be standing here tonight without the unyielding support of my best friend for the last 16 years, the rock of our family, the love of my life, the nation's next First Lady, Michelle Obama. Sasha and Malia, I love you both more than you can imagine, and you have earned the new puppy that's coming with us to the White House. And while she's no longer with us, I know my grandmother's watching, along with the family that made me who I am. I miss them tonight. I know that my debt to them is beyond measure. To my sister Maya, my sister Alma, all my other brothers and sisters, thank you so much for all the support that you've given me. I am grateful to them. To my campaign manager, David Plouffe, the unsung hero of this campaign, who built the best political campaign, I think, in the history of the United States of America. To my chief strategist, David Axelrod, who's been a partner with me every step of the way. To the best campaign team ever assembled in the history of politics, you made this happen, and I am forever grateful for what you've sacrificed to get it done. But above all, I will never forget who this victory truly belongs to. It belongs to you. It belongs to you. I was never the likeliest candidate for this office. We didn't start with much money or many endorsements. Our campaign was not hatched in the halls of Washington. It began in the backyards of Des Moines, in the living rooms of Concord, in the front porches of Charleston. It was built by working men and women who dug into what little savings they had to give $5 and $10 and $20 to the cause. It grew strength from the young people who rejected the myth of their generation's apathy, who left their homes and their families for jobs that offered little pay and less sleep. It drew strength from the not-so-young people who braved the bitter cold and scorching heat to knock on doors of perfect strangers, and from the millions of Americans who volunteered and organized and proved that more than 2 centuries later, a government of the people, by the people, and for the people has not perished from the earth. This is your victory. Now, I know you didn't do this just to win an election. And I know you didn't do it for me. You did it because you understand the enormity of the task that lies ahead. For even as we celebrate tonight, we know the challenges that tomorrow will bring are the greatest of our lifetime. 2 wars, a planet in peril, the worst financial crisis in a century. Even as we stand here tonight, we know there are brave Americans waking up in the deserts of Iraq and the mountains of Afghanistan to risk their lives for us. There are mothers and fathers who will lie awake after their children fall asleep and wonder how they'll make the mortgage, or pay their doctor's bills, or save enough for their child's college education. There's new energy to harness, new jobs to be created, new schools to build, and threats to meet, alliances to repair. The road ahead will be long. Our climb will be steep. We may not get there in 1 year or even in 1 term, but America, I have never been more hopeful than I am tonight that we will get there. I promise you, we as a people will get there. There will be setbacks and false starts. There are many who won't agree with every decision or policy I make as president. And we know the government can't solve every problem. But I will always be honest with you about the challenges we face. I will listen to you, especially when we disagree. And above all, I will ask you to join in the work of remaking this nation the only way it's been done in America for 221 years. Block by block, brick by brick, calloused hand by calloused hand. What began 21 months ago in the depths of winter cannot end on this autumn night. This victory alone is not the change we seek. It is only the chance for us to make that change. And that cannot happen if we go back to the way things were. It can't happen without you, without a new spirit of service, a new spirit of sacrifice. So let us summon a new spirit of patriotism, of responsibility, where each of us resolves to pitch in and work harder and look after not only ourselves but each other. Let us remember that if this financial crisis taught us anything, it's that we cannot have a thriving Wall Street while Main Street suffers. In this country, we rise or fall as one nation, as one people. Let's resist the temptation to fall back on the same partisanship and pettiness and immaturity that has poisoned our politics for so long. Let's remember that it was a man from this state who first carried the banner of the Republican Party to the White House, a party founded on the values of self-reliance and individual liberty and national unity. Those are values that we all share. And while the Democratic Party has won a great victory tonight, we do so with a measure of humility and determination to heal the divides that have held back our progress. As Lincoln said to a nation far more divided than ours, we are not enemies, but friends. Though passion may have strained, it must not break our bonds of affection. And to those Americans whose support I have yet to earn, I may not have won your vote tonight, but I hear your voices. I need your help, and I will be your president too. And all those watching tonight from beyond our shores, from parliaments and palaces, to those who are huddled around radios in the forgotten corners of the world, our stories are singular, but our destiny is shared. And a new dawn of American leadership is at hand. To those who would tear the world down, we will defeat you. To those who seek peace and security, we support you. And to all those who have wondered if America's beacon still burns as bright, tonight we proved once more that the true strength of our nation comes not from the might of our arms or the scale of our wealth, but from the enduring power of our ideals: democracy, liberty, opportunity, and unyielding hope. That's the true genius of America, that America can change. Our union can be perfected. What we've already achieved gives us hope for what we can and must achieve tomorrow. This election had many firsts and many stories that will be told for generations, but one that's on my mind tonight is about a woman who cast her ballot in Atlanta. She is a lot like the millions of others who stood in line to make their voice heard in this election, except for one thing. Ann Nixon Cooper is 106 years old. She was born just a generation past slavery, a time when there were no cars on the road or planes in the sky, when someone like her couldn't vote for two reasons: because she was a woman and because of the color of her skin. And tonight, I think about all that she's seen throughout her century in America: the heartache and the hope, the struggle and the progress, the times we were told that we can't, and the people who pressed on with that American creed: yes, we can. At a time when women's voices were silenced and their hopes dismissed, she lived to see them stand up and speak out and reach for the ballot: yes, we can. When there was despair in the Dust Bowl and depression across the land, she saw a nation conquer fear itself with a New Deal, new jobs, a new sense of common purpose: yes, we can. When the bombs fell on our harbor and tyranny threatened the world, she was there to witness a generation rise to greatness and a democracy was saved: yes, we can. She was there for the buses in Montgomery, the hoses in Birmingham, a bridge in Selma, and a preacher from Atlanta who told the people that we shall overcome: yes, we can. A man touched down on the moon. A wall came down in Berlin. A world was connected by our own science and imagination. And this year, in this election, she touched her finger to a screen and cast her vote. Because after 106 years in America, through the best of times and the darkest of hours, she knows how America can change. Yes, we can. America, we have come so far. We have seen so much, but there's so much more to do. So tonight, let us ask ourselves, if our children should live to see the next century, if my daughters should be so lucky to live as long as Ann Nixon Cooper, what change will they see? What progress will we have made? This is our chance to answer that call. This is our moment. This is our time to put our people back to work and open doors of opportunity for our kids, to restore prosperity and promote the cause of peace, to reclaim the American dream and reaffirm that fundamental truth that out of many we are one, that while we breathe, we hope, and where we are met with cynicism and doubt and those who tell us that we can't, we will respond with that timeless creed that sums up the spirit of a people. Yes, we can. Thank you. God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America.
Barack Obama speaking before a huge crowd in Chicago, his first speech as president-elect. The road ahead will be long, the climb will be steep. We won't get there in a year or even in a term, a presidential term, but I promise you, he said, we will get there. This is not the change, this is the chance to make that change. And I will listen to you, especially when we disagree, emphasizing all the time that his aim is to bring Americans together. Many times he used the cry, yes we can, yes we can. Joe Biden, the Vice President-elect, coming onto the stage. And the power, he said, of our ideals is unyielding hope. So an optimistic message in difficult times. Well, that was the first speech by Barack Obama since he became president. Powerful speech, not dissimilar from many of those that he's made on the campaign trail, but reaching out all the time, or trying to reach out to a wider constituency than simply the Democrats who put him there, though he was generous in his praise for his staff and for the young people who'd gone to help him vote, the people who'd registered to vote. Jesse Jackson and Oprah Winfrey, you may have seen among the crowds there. Rather tender moment for the president-elect. And the wife, he said, he loved above all others, his wife, Michelle. This is the man who delivered the great address in 2004 to the Democratic Convention, saying that a skinny kid with a funny name who believes America has a place for him too. How he defined himself then. Well, now the skinny kid with a funny name has achieved his dream and become the 44th President of the United States. And that speech will have been being watched right across the world. People who see this change in the United States as one that gives them hope too of a different kind of America. Whether they're right or wrong, we shall discover over the months and years ahead. But for this moment, certainly the whole image of America has shifted, because many people outside this country didn't believe it was possible that a black man could be elected president. Children come skipping onto the stage, and as he said, they've been promised a new dog, which they're going to take with them to the White House.
It's interesting, I guess one could say that ever since the assassination of the Kennedy brothers, the country, and especially the Democratic Party, have been looking for that kind of rousing political inspiration, for another Camelot. Well, today they got another Camelot, an African-American one.
A couple of interesting points. David, you started to make the one point before, namely reaching out. And interesting that we have had in the space of 1 hour 2 extraordinarily generous and graceful speeches. One by the loser John McCain, offering to reach out to Barack Obama, promising that he will have his support. And if you know John McCain at all, those were not just empty words. He will mean that. And the other point that he made is promising a certain level of sacrifice that will be required of the American people. And that's an extraordinarily important point to make on an evening like this, when everyone is filled with hope. But he was making it absolutely clear. We can't do it without sacrifice. We can't do it without reaching out to one another across party lines.
Clive Murray is in Atlanta, and down there they were listening to this speech. Clive, how did they react?
David, everything that we've seen tonight was obviously unthinkable, and not that long ago, the first family of America is a black family. For everyone watching that speech by Barack Obama over the last 20 minutes, half an hour or so, they've just watched the American dream effectively made flesh. I'm here at Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia, the alma mater of Dr. Martin Luther King, where he formed in his mind at an early stage that urgent need to change America. Everyone here at this college is very proud, not least the current president of the college here, Dr. Robert Franklin. What did you think of that speech?
It was a moving tribute to Dr. King's vision, and we now have a new day in America and a new day in the world. The politics of fear and militarism and division are about to come to an end. And I'm so thrilled and so hopeful that a new politics sounded by a new President of the United States, will go out throughout this great global community, bringing people together, calling for peace and justice and shared prosperity. So at Morehouse College, the college that produced Dr. King, a peacemaker, not a warrior, we are ready to help President Obama carry this forward.
Should America be complacent about what it's seen tonight? Have we suddenly transcended race in America? Is race no longer an issue, or is that still a dream?
Race continues to be an issue, but we have bounded forward in an extraordinary way. Think about it, just 40 years ago, Dr. King left us. And in a short period of time, Dr. King has handed off that baton now to a President of the United States who is committed to his principles. We still have education to do. We still have to work together, black and white and Asian and Hispanic and Native American, and Americans working with the rest of the world to build a peaceful future. But we've made a great start tonight.
If you've just joined us, good morning. Welcome to BBC One this Wednesday, with more news and analysis of the US election now over breakfast.
Tonight, because of what we did on this day, in this election, at this defining moment, change has come to America.
We fought as hard as we could, and though we fell short, the failure is mine, not yours.
The dream comes true. America has its first black president as Barack Obama is voted into the White House. This is Breakfast with Bill Turnbull in Washington on a historic night for the United States and the rest of the world. The moment when Barack Obama became the next president-elect was marked by roars of emotion from his supporters who had hardly dared to hope right to the end.
And good morning to you from Sian Williams in London. It's Wednesday, the 5th of November. Today we're going to be hearing what this result means to people across the world, including here in the UK. And I'll have the rest of the news, in course, including a plane crash in Mexico City, which has killed the country's interior minister. In sport, Steven Gerrard is Liverpool's Champions League saviour again, as they salvage a late draw against Atletico Madrid.
And in weather, it's another cloudy and damp day today for bonfire night, misty and murky. More in 15 minutes.
Thank you. Barack Obama has been elected the first black president of the United States. 45 years ago, Martin Luther King said black Americans were exiles in their own land. Today, Barack Obama told a huge crowd in Chicago that change had finally come to America. The Democratic senator needed 270 Electoral College votes to win the presidential election. He's predicted to have 338, while his opponent, John McCain, has 155. Well, in this special election program, we'll be looking at why so many people put their faith in a 47-year-old man with little experience of government. We'll ask what Barack Obama's election means to people hearing the news this morning all over the world. But in a moment, we'll be live in Chicago, where hundreds of thousands gathered to hear Barack Obama speak. First, here's Jonathan Beale telling the story of the night.
They came in their tens of thousands to witness history. These are the throngs of Barack Obama supporters who'd gathered early in the evening in his home city of Chicago. Still uncertain as to the final outcome, but the mood of confidence was palpable, and the stage already set for the expected victor to walk on.
Election night 2008 with the latest results.
Unlike the two previous elections, they didn't have to wait long for the result.
In the West, Barack Obama will be the 44th president of the United States.
This was the immediate reaction in New York's Times Square. Sheer joy. And this the response back in Chicago. Among the ecstasy, tears too. For Jesse Jackson, one of the country's civil rights champions, a day perhaps he never thought he would see. And here in Washington, D.C., a mood of jubilation.
We are taking the White House after 8 years of misery.
It means America's back, baby. We're back on the world stage. We can respond to our people again. This is great.
We got it.
Obama, Obama, Obama.
The faces of John McCain supporters in Arizona told a very different story. Anxiety soon turned into bitter disappointment as they lost Virginia and Florida. And they too did not have to wait long for their candidate to concede defeat.
I wish the outcome had been different, my friends. The road was a difficult one from the outset, but your support and friendship never wavered.
1 hour later, the victor emerged with his family amid a sea of supporters. This was a resounding win for Barack Obama, and the questions about his experience had evaporated in the night. He's now America's next commander-in-chief.
It's been a long time coming, but tonight, because of what we did on this day, in this election, at this defining moment, change has come to America.
The celebrations have only just begun, and the scenes of euphoria all over the country and here in front of the White House suggest that America may have recaptured a spirit of optimism.
The thought of an African American inside the White House is no longer a dream. This is more than just a personal victory for Barack Obama and the Democratic Party. This is a watershed in American history. Jonathan Beale, BBC News, Washington.
The moment of change for America. Barack Obama wins the election by a landslide to become the first black president of the United States.
Tonight, because of what we did on this day, in this election, at this defining moment, change has come to America.
Hello and welcome to Washington. I'm John Sopel. Well, he promised change and he delivered. Barack Obama has ushered in a new era in American politics after a momentous night which saw him sweep to victory to become the 44th President of the United States. The win was greeted with scenes of jubilation in cities across America as Obama supporters took to the streets. Defeat for John McCain and the Republicans after a grueling 2-year campaign.
We fought as hard as we could. And though we fell short, the failure is mine, not yours.
Personal congratulations for Barack Obama from the man he'll take over from. President Bush is due to speak at the White House in about 20 minutes. We'll have live coverage. Also in the programme, tears of joy from civil rights campaigners. We'll be looking at what Barack Obama's victory means for black Americans.
To date, and we will need further action during this transition and subsequent months. Some of the choices that we make are going to be difficult. And I have said before, and I will repeat again, it is not going to be quick, and it is not going to be easy for us to dig ourselves out of the hole that we are in. But America is a strong and resilient country, and I know we will succeed if we put aside partisanship and politics and work together as one nation. That's what I intend to do. With that, let me open it up for some questions, and I'm going to start right here with you, Nedra.
Thank you, Mr. President-elect. I wonder what you think any president can accomplish during their first 100 days in office to turn the economy around. How far can you go, and what will be your priorities on day one?
Well, I think that a new president can do an enormous amount to restore confidence, to move an agenda forward that speaks to the needs of the economy and the needs of middle-class families all across the country. I've outlined during the course of the campaign some critical issues that I intend to work on. We have a current financial crisis that is spilling out into the rest of the economy. And we have taken some action so far. More action is undoubtedly going to be needed. My transition team is going to be monitoring very closely what happens over the course of the next several months. The one thing I can say with certainty is that we are going to need to see a stimulus package passed, either before or after inauguration. We are going to have to focus on jobs because the hemorrhaging of jobs has an impact, obviously, on consumer confidence and the ability of people to buy goods and services, and can have enormous spillover effects. I think it's going to be very important for us to provide the kinds of assistance to state and local governments to make sure that they don't compound some of the problems that are already out there by having to initiate major layoffs or initiate tax increases. So there's some things that we know we're going to have to do, but I'm confident that a new president can have an enormous impact. That's why I ran for president. All right. Lee?
Sir, there's been some suggestion from House Democrats that the stimulus package may be in trouble. There's going to be a hard time getting out of a lame duck session. Are you still confident that you would be able to get something done before you actually take office?
I want to see a stimulus package sooner rather than later. If it does not get done in the lame duck session, it will be the first thing I get done as President of the United States. Jake?
Senator, for the first time since the Iranian Revolution, a president of Iran sent a congratulations note to a new U.S. president. I'm wondering if, first of all, if you responded to President Ahmadinejad's note of congratulations, and second of all, and more importantly, how soon do you plan on sending low-level envoys to countries such as Iran, Syria, Venezuela, Cuba, to see if a presidential-level talk would be productive?
I am aware that the letter was sent. Let me repeat what I stated during the course of the campaign. Iran's development of a nuclear weapon, I believe, is unacceptable. And we have to mount an international effort to prevent that from happening. Iran's support of terrorist organizations, I think, is something that has to cease. I will be reviewing the letter from President Ahmadinejad, and we will respond appropriately. It's only been 3 days since the election. Obviously, how we approach and deal with a country like Iran is not something that we should, simply do in a knee-jerk fashion. I think we've got to think it through. But I have to reiterate once again that we only have one president at a time. And I want to be very careful that we are sending the right signals to the world as a whole that I am not the president, and I won't be until January 20th. Let's see. Chip.
Picking up what you were just talking about, you're meeting with President Bush on Monday. When he is still the decider, obviously, stating the obvious, when you disagree with decisions he makes, will you defer? Will you challenge? Will you confront? And if it becomes confrontational, could that rattle the markets even more?
Well, President Bush graciously invited Michelle and I to meet with him and First Lady Laura Bush. We are gratified by the invitation. I'm sure that in addition to taking a tour of the White House, there's going to be a substantive conversation between myself and the President. I'm not going to anticipate problems. I'm going to go in there with a spirit of bipartisanship and a sense that both the President and various leaders in Congress all recognize the severity of the situation right now and want to get stuff done. And, undoubtedly there may end up being differences between not just members of different parties, but between people within the same party. The critical point and I think the critical tone that has to be struck by all of us involved right now is the American people need help. This economy is in bad shape, and we have just completed one of the longest election cycles in recorded history. Now is a good time for us to set politics aside for a while and think practically about what will actually work to move the economy forward, and it's in that spirit that I'll have the conversation with the President. Let's see. How about Karen?
Mr. President-elect,
With the country facing 2 wars and a financial crisis, do you think it's important for you to move especially quickly to fill key cabinet posts such as Treasury Secretary and Secretary of State?
When we have an announcement about cabinet appointments, we will make them. There is no doubt that I think people want to know who's going to make up our team. And I want to move with all deliberate haste, but I want to emphasize deliberate as well as haste. I'm proud of the choice I made of Vice President, partly because we did it right. I'm proud of the choice of Chief of Staff because we thought it through. And I think it's very important in all these key positions, both in the economic team and the national security team, to get it right and not to be so rushed that you end up making mistakes. I'm confident that we're going to have an outstanding team, and we will be rolling that out in subsequent weeks. Let's see. Where's John McCormick? Give a local hometown guy a little bit of time.
To what extent are you planning to use your probably pretty great influence in determining the successor for your Senate seat, and what sort of criteria should the governor be looking at in filling that position?
This is the governor's decision. It is not my decision. And I think that the criteria that I would have for my successor would be the same criteria that I'd have if I were a voter. Somebody who is capable, somebody who is passionate about helping working families in Illinois meet their dreams. And I think there are going to be a lot of good choices out there. But it is the governor's decision to make, not mine. Lynn, Sweet. What happened to your arm, Lynn?
I cracked my shoulder running to your speech on election night.
Oh, no.
I fell and tripped.
I think that was the only major incident during the entire Grant Park celebration.
Thank you for asking. Here's my question. I'm wondering what you're doing to get ready. Have you spoke to any living ex-presidents? What books you might be reading? Everyone wants to know what kind of dog are you going to buy for your girls? Have you decided on a private or public school for your daughters?
Let me list those off. In terms of speaking to former presidents, I've spoken to all of them that are living. Obviously, President Clinton. I didn't want to get into a Nancy Reagan thing about, doing any seances. I have reread some of Lincoln's writings, who's always an extraordinary inspiration. And by the way, President Carter, President Bush Sr., as well as the current president have all been very gracious and offered to provide any help that they can in this transition process. With respect to the dog, this is a major issue. I think it's generated more interest on our website than just about anything. We have 2 criteria that have to be reconciled. One is that Malia is allergic, so it has to be hypoallergenic. There are a number of breeds that are hypoallergenic. On the other hand, our preference would be to get a shelter dog, but obviously a lot of shelter dogs are mutts like me. So whether we're going to be able to balance those 2 things, I think, is a pressing issue on the Obama household. And with respect to schools, Michelle will be scouting out some schools. We'll be making a decision about that in the future. Okay, Candy?
You are now privy to a lot of intelligence that you haven't had access to before. In fact, much of what the president sees, I'm sure all of it. First of all, what do you think about the state of U.S. intelligence, whether you think it needs beefing up, whether you think there's enough interaction between the various agencies? And second of all, has anything that you've heard given you pause about anything you've talked about on the campaign trail?
Well, Candy, as you know, if there was something I'd heard, I couldn't tell you. But I have received intelligence briefings, and I will make just a general statement. Our intelligence process can always improve. I think it has gotten better. And you know, beyond that, I don't think I should comment on the nature of the intelligence briefings. That was a two-parter. Was there another aspect to that?
Well, just, you know, absent what you've heard,
Okay,
whether anything's given you pause.
I'm gonna skip that. Jeff.
Do you still intend to seek income tax increases for upper-income Americans? And if so, should these Americans expect to pay higher taxes in 2009?
My tax plan represented a net tax cut. It provided for substantial middle-class tax cuts. 95% of working Americans would receive them. It also provided for cuts in capital gains for small businesses, additional tax credits. All of it is designed for job growth. My priority is going to be, how do we grow the economy? How do we create more jobs? I think that the plan that we've put forward is the right one, but obviously over the next several weeks and months, we're going to be continuing to take a look at the data and see what's taking place in the economy as a whole. But understand, the goal of my plan is to provide tax relief to families that are struggling, but also to boost the capacity of the economy to grow from the bottom up. All right? Thank you very much, guys. Bonjour.
First press conference.